Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jack in the Books. Welcome back to my second channel. You may have noticed that something is different. I have a microphone. I bought this today, and I'm genuinely only filming this video because I was so excited to use my microphone. Like, I got a new toy and I just wanted to use it. This is a reporter mic, so I feel like I'm going to interview someone on like the 5 o'clock news about a murder or like perform karaoke. What's your karaoke song? Mine is the one from the Jungle Book where he goes, I'm not going to sing it. I won't put any of us through that, but it's the one where he's like, I want to be like you. The only reason that is my karaoke song is because one time, okay, there's context to this. I'll get onto the actual video in a second, but now I've started, I'll finish. Because we're introducing the microphone to the channel, so we have to talk about this. Basically, when I was a teenager and I would hang out with my friends, we would drive down to the beach, because I grew up near the coast. We would drive down to the beach together and we would blast music like Dizzy Rascal, Rizzle Kicks, The Kooks, Two Door Cinema Club, like all of the bangers. A bit of Lily Allen, Sophie Ellis-Bextor, before it was cool. And no, she was always cool, who are we kidding? And anyway, I thought I was like a great singer. Just because when I was with my friends and I was singing, I felt good. And then I went to university and I moved into a house that was very musical. And all three of my housemates were very good at singing. And we would be like all singing together. And they were like, Jack, you have the worst voice. Like, not a single note that you just delivered was in tune or on key. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I couldn't tell you the difference between those two things. If there is a difference, I don't know. And so they made me take a tone deafness quiz, which was violently humbling. And I did not pass it. As in, it suggested that I was a little bit tone deaf. And so that made me insecure about singing, because singing used to just be such a joyous thing. And now I'm like, oh, you can be good at this or bad at this. Like, I'd never really considered that before. Which I know is stupid because I grew up, like, my whole Twitter account was dedicated to the X Factor. Like, I grew up on that. I grew up on singing competitions, but for some reason it had never computed in my brain that I might not be good at singing. So anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, I have a new microphone because people kept complaining about the sound quality of my videos. To be honest with you, I literally film these videos with a tiny little point and shoot. Like, they're not designed to have good mics. This is necessary at this point. So you're welcome. I invested in you. I invested in the channel. And the video that I'm going to film today is a book tag, because I feel like we need to bring back the humble book tag. Maybe it never really went away, but none of the creators that I follow on here are doing book tags anymore. And I feel like it's very OG booktube to do book tags. Like, this is the content I used to eat up before I joined booktube. And so I went online and I basically found this website. The blog is called ZZ with Books. It's like a WordPress blog, and she basically just curated a list of all of the possible book tags that have been ever invented in alphabetical order. And this one begins with numbers. So this was right at the top, but I thought it seemed fun. And so, yeah, there are two reasons for filming this video. One, no one wants to do book tags anymore. And number two, I got a new microphone. So we're going to, hit two birds with one stone here, kill two birds with one stone by making a video with my new microphone, which is a book tag. So this is the 54321 book tag. I just had a brief skim over it because I didn't want to kind of come up with answers before the video. I wanted this to be like an immediate reaction. So we're going to start with the first prompt, which is 5 books you love. Now, at this point, I feel like I am a broken record. Like, you guys, some of you know my list of my favorite books of all time better than I do. But on the flip side of that, often I go on to the internet and I see someone saying, I bought this book because Jack Edwards recommended it. And it's a book I've A, never read, B, don't have a copy of, and C, have definitely never recommended. And it makes me laugh every time because I'm like, did someone else recommend that? And you've you've forgotten who it was and assumed it was me. Or, well, actually, I don't know what the alternative is. It baffles me every time I see it because I'm always confused as to what happened there, how you ended up with this book thinking it was my recommendation, but I've never read it and never even heard of it. Like often it will be the first time I've ever even heard of that book. And I'm like, how does this conclusion become a reality? Anyway, I have a lot of favorite books, and the more I read, the more I end up with on that list because I'm insatiable. Also, I feel like one goal of mine for this year is to reread some of my favorite books and check if they actually are my favorite books now that I have more knowledge, now that my taste is more refined. But straight off the top of the dome, 5 favorites: Sula, Toni Morrison; Elena Knows, Claudia Pinheiro; Panenka, Ronan Hessian; Open Water, Caleb Azuma Nelson. And then the reason that I'm struggling is because I'm trying to pick which Sally Rooney to go for. I think it might be Beautiful World, Where Are You? But Normal People, I have more nostalgia attached to. But you get, you get the gist. It's one of those two. That's like, those are the first ones that come into my head, which I think is telling, actually. Boulder, Eva Baltazar, my most recent 5-star read. Oh, Hamnet, Maggie O'Farrell. It's tough to whittle it down to just 5. I've totally cheated because I've essentially given you 8. Moving on. The next question. Okay, this is actually a good one. 4 auto-buy authors. So 4 authors who, without question, I buy every single one of their books. James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Sally Rooney, and I mean, so far, Caleb Azuma Nelson, but he has only released 2. So I feel like I've only ever auto-bought one of his books. Do you know what I mean? Claudia Pinheiro would be the other one. So, again, I've cheated. Right, this next one, I'm actually going to stick to the assigned number. 3 favorite genres. Okay, literary fiction, I feel like is such an umbrella term that incorporates so many things, but literary fiction, number 1, historical fiction, number 2, and number 3, poetry. Honestly, poetry. I don't know if that really counts, but I'm so in my poetry era right now. I've been reading so much poetry. I just finished a collection called Bad Diaspora Poems, which was anything but what the title suggests, as in it is about the diaspora, but it was nowhere near bad. That's definitely an ironic title. And you know what? You really got to believe in your source to name your book Bad Diaspora Poems. Like, you have to know that those are great. You have to know that there is nothing wrong in that entire collection to name it Bad Diaspora Poems, because otherwise people will be like, well, yeah. Although it's actually quite smart because no one can judge you because they're like, well, it is what it's, if they didn't like the collection, it just is what it says on the tin. Like, you were warned. But I loved the collection. I thought it was absolutely exquisite. When I read any book, I go over it with a pen and I underline my favorite quotes. And this is one of those books where I underlined a quote on every single page. Like, every single poem had at least one little quote that I just absolutely adored. I thought it was phenomenal. I'm actually going to make a video on this channel, or maybe on my main channel actually, of like poetry recommendations, because I feel like a lot of people don't know where to start with poetry. I think poetry is a really tough genre to get into. It's tough because I'm not sure if poetry really counts as a genre in a traditional sense, because really you could divide literature up by forms. So you could talk about like the novel, the short story, the poem, or the poetry collection / anthology, and the play. So am I cheating by saying poetry? Okay, if poetry was taken out of the equation, genre number 3 would be dystopia. For sure, dystopia. Dystopian fiction was like my gateway drug into literature, genuinely starting with The Hunger Games, and then I was reading Animal Farm at school. Oh, another favorite book of all time, 1984. Deep breaths, everyone. Deep breaths. I'm really enjoying using this microphone, I have to say. My point is that I read Animal Farm at school, and then that led me to thinking George Orwell was incredible. And so then I went home and asked my mom if I could have a copy of another George Orwell book. And so I got 1984, used my pocket money to buy a book, and what's changed? Literally nothing. So how did I get onto that? Oh yeah, dystopias. A mix of The Hunger Games and school were what encouraged me to read 1984. And then that led me to The Handmaid's Tale, We, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, so many incredible books. The works of Ursula K. Le Guin, although she kind of writes more like utopias than dystopias, I would say that probably is a big influence on me. So before we get on to the 2 and the 1, I just wanted to let you know that today's video is very, very kindly brought to you by Squarespace. We love Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website or an online brand. And the best news is you don't need any coding experience. You don't need to be a master web developer, a web developing whiz, because Squarespace has literally hundreds of incredible templates, which you can use as the perfect starting point and a kind of launch pad to have, you know, something you can customize and bring out your creativity. And I think it's just great to remove that barrier, that boundary that might be stopping you from wanting to create a website. So I really recommend Squarespace. You can actually get a free trial at squarespace.com, test out its features. You can start an email sign up list. You can create a blog so people know what's going on behind the scenes. There are great analytical tools. And also the best news is when you are ready to launch your beautiful new website, you can use the code JackInTheBooks at squarespace.com/JackInTheBooks to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace. We love you, Squarespace. Okay, 2 places you read. Now, I have to say, if you were to place a bet on the number 1 place I read, I imagine you would guess right here, like in the library surrounded by books, and that's actually not the case at all. In fact, I can't think of many times I have read a book in this room, which is weird. I like to be at a desk. I actually think the reason for that is that I need good lighting because my eyesight is really bad. Total side note, and maybe something I shouldn't talk about on the internet before it's diagnosed, but I actually think I have cataracts, which is so bad. Actually really alarming. Maybe I shouldn't say this out. I'm touching wood to pray that I'm not jinxing it. I really hope I do not have cataracts, but I am going to have to go and see an eye doctor this week and find out because my eyes don't really focus, which is a real problem. It's a real issue. My eyes will like unfocus, and that is really bad. My foot just creaked on the chair, like my bare foot just rubbed against the leather of this chair that I'm sitting on, and I worry that the microphone will pick it up and it will sound like a fart. So I have to acknowledge it so that the comment section isn't full of people being like, damn, he was trying to be serious for one moment talking about his potential cataracts and then was just letting one rip. No, that's not what happened. The chair is very squeaky and I'm not wearing socks, which I'm not going to prove to you because the dogs for free on the internet? No chance. No chance. Anyway, I might have cataracts. We'll find out. I'll let you know. But it's actually not funny. It's serious. Anyways, the places that I like to read. So we established not here. I like to read a lot at the library, actually. I go to the library a lot. It's actually where I do most of my work. So I write a lot of my videos in the library. I do my research for my videos in the library, and I also read a lot there. I talk a lot about how I read a lot, and to contextualize that, one of the ways that I read a lot is by literally sitting myself down at the library for an entire day and just reading and writing and researching as much as possible. So when I'm reading for a video, I do try to treat it like work, and so I will like go and plonk myself down just so that I also consider reading for pleasure. So when I'm reading for a video, when I'm reading for like quote unquote work, although it doesn't really feel like work, I will go to the library. And then where else? I guess I read a lot on trains and planes and public transport, mostly trains. I take a lot of trains. Whenever I'm on a train, I will be reading, but I always have a book with me, you know? So basically I will read wherever, you know, if I'm waiting for the bus and it's going to be like a 10-minute wait, I have my book with me and I will sit and read. I have this one like crossbody bag that I take absolutely everywhere with me, and it's the exact size of kind of like a paperback book. And so I always have a book with me, like wherever I go, I have a book with me. So, you know, when I'm on the subway, when I'm on the tube, when I'm on like national rail trains, I'm always reading. So I'm going to put that as like probably number 2. But then I also do read in bed. So again, oh my God, will I ever stick to the prompt? Okay, the final one, I'm actually going to stick to the prompt. I swear. I repeat, one and only one book you promise to read soon. Number 1, absolute number 1 is Julia by Sandra Newman, which is a 1984 retelling. Just to make this video nice and rounded and tie it all back in, it's the story of Julia, who is Winston's love interest in 1984. It's her story from her perspective. And right behind me here is my Greek mythology shelf, where we've seen a lot of really incredible female authors publishing books which recenter female narratives. They bring the women in Greek mythology right to the forefront and rewrite the stories from their perspectives, or at least centering them. And I think that's been such a cool development in publishing, and it's been a great micro trend. And I love that Sandra Newman is now doing that with the dystopia genre too. She's bringing Julia to the centerfold, to the front, and saying, let's think about her story. Let's think about how she experienced these events in George Orwell's classic book. And I love books that are in conversation with one another. You guys know that. And so this really has all the ingredients to be something I love. It's a retelling. It centers a voice that was previously a little bit voiceless. It is dystopian. I can't wait to read it. So that is the one book, and one book only, that I'm promising to read very, very soon. And you can expect a review of that, because I'm sure I'm not going to shut up about it. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if the mic sounds good. Are we happy? Is it distracting that it's here in front of my face? I hope it's not. I could probably prop it here, and then I would stop playing with it. But I'm quite enjoying this. Everything I say feels like it has more gravity with the microphone. All the best, stay in touch, have a wonderful day, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you very, very soon. Bye-bye. Oh, and answer these questions in the comment section down below. I'd love to read your answers. Okay, bye-bye.